Have you ever noticed how some women seem different? Not in the way they look, not in the way they speak, but in the way they carry themselves. Sometimes withdrawn, sometimes restless, sometimes almost lost. What most men fail to realize is that the absence of intimacy, the absence of true physical and emotional connection, leaves a mark. Not just on the mind, but on the body, on energy, on the very rhythm of life. It's not about judgment. It's not about shaming. It's about understanding. Because when a woman goes without physical intimacy for a long time, her body whispers truths that most men will never notice if they're not paying attention. Her posture changes. Her energy shifts. Even her confidence, her spark, her emotional availability begins to reflect a quiet emptiness. And here's the hard truth: most men never see these signs. They think attraction is just about looks or charm or status, but real connection, real intimacy, it's deeper than that. It's about understanding the signals that her body is giving, about respecting her emotional state, about recognizing when she's craving connection that goes far beyond the surface. Today, I'm going to teach you exactly what to notice, how to read her signals, and how to respond in a way that makes you not just a man who dates women, but a man who truly understands them. This knowledge is rare. Only a few men ever learn it. And once you do, everything changes. Have you ever been around a woman and felt something off? Not something you can put your finger on, but a subtle difference in her energy. It's quiet, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. But if you are, it speaks volumes. When a woman hasn't had intimacy for a long time, her energy changes. And it's one of the first signs that most men completely miss. This isn't about being judgmental. It's not about labeling her as difficult or cold. It's about noticing what her body is telling you, because energy is the language of the soul. You see, intimacy is more than just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual. It's the release, the closeness, the vulnerability that connects us to another human being. When that connection is absent, her energy begins to shift in ways subtle but undeniable. You might notice that she seems a little more restless, fidgeting more than usual. Or perhaps her laughter doesn't fully reach her eyes. Maybe she carries herself a little differently, a little tighter, as if protecting something inside. That tightness isn't vanity. It's a reflection of what she's been holding back. Her body becomes a messenger, revealing a quiet frustration, a longing she can't put into words. Here's the thing: most men fail to understand: energy is contagious. If she's low, restless, or withdrawn, it's not about her disliking you. It's about her body signaling a need for real connection. And if you don't recognize it, you'll miss the chance to connect with her on a deeper level. The subtle energy shift is also a call for awareness. High-value men notice this, not just because they're observant, but because they care enough to look beyond surface-level attraction. They sense the quiet tension, the slight hesitation, the longing beneath the smiles and casual conversation. This awareness allows you to meet her where she is, to respond with patience, understanding, and emotional intelligence. If you learn to read this, you'll understand women in ways most men never will. You'll recognize the signals that show her body is missing something crucial, something emotional, physical, and deeply human. And once you see it, you have the power to create a space where she feels safe, seen, and truly understood. That is the foundation of connection. The kind of connection that changes everything. Have you ever noticed that some women seem to keep you at arm's length, even when everything seems fine on the surface? They laugh, they talk, they engage. But there's a subtle layer of distance, a part of them that doesn't fully open. This is what I call emotional guarding, and it's one of the clearest signs a woman hasn't experienced intimacy for a long time. Emotional guarding isn't about being cold or unapproachable. It's a natural response, a protective shield her heart builds when it hasn't been allowed to fully connect for some time. Imagine pouring water into a cracked cup. Over time, the cup learns to hold less, to protect itself. That's what happens with emotional intimacy. When she hasn't had the release, the vulnerability, or the connection her body and mind crave, she instinctively shields herself from potential disappointment. For many men, this is where the misunderstanding happens. They see her walls and assume she's not interested, or worse, that she's difficult. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Behind those walls is a woman yearning for someone who can see past the surface, who can recognize the signals her body and behavior are giving. Her emotional guard is a cry for understanding, a silent way of saying, I need to feel safe before I let you in. The challenge for men is this: you can't rush her. You can't try to force her to open up. The moment you do, her guard only becomes stronger. Instead, the high-value man approaches with patience, empathy, and observation. He notices the little signs, her hesitation before sharing something personal, the way she laughs but avoids eye contact, the small boundaries she sets. These are not obstacles, they are guideposts, showing you exactly how to connect without breaking her trust. Understanding emotional guarding changes everything. It teaches you that intimacy isn't about how fast you can get close. It's about how deeply you can understand, support, and respect her emotional state. When you honor her boundaries and meet her with genuine care, those walls slowly begin to lower. And once they do, the connection that forms isn't superficial. It's profound. It's real. And it's the kind of connection that many men chase their whole lives but never truly experience. Recognizing and respecting emotional guarding is not just knowledge, it's power. It's what separates men who simply date from men who truly understand and connect. If you've been paying attention, you'll start to notice that a woman's body often tells a story her words do not. When a woman hasn't experienced intimacy for a long time, her body begins to reflect subtle changes that most men overlook entirely. And yet, these physical signs are some of the clearest indicators that her body is longing for connection, both emotional and physical. It's not about judging how she looks or criticizing her appearance. It's about understanding the language her body speaks. You might notice small shifts in her posture, shoulders slightly hunched, movements more guarded, or a certain tension in her steps. These aren't random habits. They're her body carrying the weight of missed connection. They're her body saying, in a silent way, I've been waiting for closeness, for touch, for connection that goes deeper than the surface. Another sign can be subtle restlessness. She might fidget more than usual, shift in her seat, or unconsciously seek small movements that release pent-up energy. Her gestures may be more contained, protective, as if holding herself back from fully expressing her natural energy. These are not flaws, they are signals. They are clues for a man who is willing to look deeper than casual observation, a man who is learning to read the invisible language of attraction and need. Even the way she carries herself in social situations can be a sign. You may notice that she's more withdrawn in crowds, or that her laughter and smiles, while genuine, carry a hint of reservation. These physical cues are the body's way of reflecting unmet needs. They tell you that beneath the surface, there's a longing for the kind of connection that only comes from true intimacy, trust, and emotional safety. The lesson for men is this: observing these signs is not about manipulation or exploitation. It's about awareness, empathy, and understanding. When you notice her body speaking this language, you have the opportunity to approach differently, with patience, respect, and care. You become the kind of man who sees beyond the superficial, who connects on a deeper level, and who recognizes the signals her body sends before she even speaks them. High-value men don't ignore these signs. They tune in. And once you do, you'll find that understanding a woman becomes less about guessing and more about truly seeing, truly feeling, and truly connecting with the essence of who she is. When a woman hasn't experienced intimacy for a long time, something shifts deep within her. Beyond the subtle energy changes, beyond the physical signs, there's a longing, a craving for connection that goes far deeper than surface-level interaction. And if you're a man who knows how to pay attention, you'll start to notice it in the way she engages with the world around her. This craving doesn't always show up in obvious ways. It's rarely loud or overt. Instead, it appears in the smallest, quietest moments, the way she leans into a conversation when she feels heard, the way her eyes light up when someone truly sees her, the way she subtly seeks moments of closeness without asking for them outright. These are her body and mind signaling a deep need for emotional and physical connection, a need that has been unfulfilled for too long. What most men fail to understand is that this craving is natural, human, and profoundly significant. It's not about desperation. It's about a desire to feel seen, appreciated, and understood at the most intimate level. When she's been without this type of connection, her heart is waiting for someone who can recognize it, who can respond not with pressure or judgment, but with empathy and genuine presence. High-value men notice this craving. They recognize the subtle cues, a lingering glance, a soft touch on the arm, or a quiet moment where she seeks your attention without saying a word. These signals are invitations, opportunities to meet her where she is emotionally, to provide the understanding and reassurance she hasn't received in a long time. But the key is patience. You cannot rush this process. You must approach it with respect, awareness, and a willingness to truly listen. Meeting this craving for connection isn't about manipulating or taking advantage. It's about creating a safe emotional space, a place where she feels free to express herself, where her heart feels seen, and her body feels understood. When you respond to her longing with care, authenticity, and presence, something remarkable happens. The walls she's built begin to soften, trust starts to form, and the bond deepens in a way that few men ever get to experience. Understanding this craving transforms the way you connect with women. It's the difference between superficial interactions and meaningful intimacy. When you see, honor, and respond to her unspoken need for connection, you're no longer just another man in her life. You become someone rare, someone unforgettable, someone who understands her on a level that most men will never reach. Even the most confident, vibrant women carry a hidden truth beneath the smiles, laughter, and social grace loneliness. And when a woman hasn't experienced intimacy for a long time, this loneliness becomes more pronounced, though rarely obvious to the casual observer. This is what I call the loneliness mask, the way she hides her true emotional state behind a carefully crafted exterior. At first glance, she might seem self-assured, independent, even untouchable. She's the kind of woman who laughs easily, engages with friends, and appears completely content. But behind that confident exterior is a quiet, persistent emptiness, a longing for connection that goes beyond casual interactions. She wears a mask, not because she doesn't want closeness, but because she has learned to protect herself from disappointment, rejection, or emotional hurt. Men often misinterpret this mask. They see her independence and assume she doesn't need or want intimacy. They see her social confidence and think she's fulfilled. But the truth is far more subtle. Far more human. She may be surrounded by people, yet still feel profoundly alone in the way that only emotional and physical intimacy can truly fill. This is where awareness makes all the difference. High-value men learn to see past the mask, to notice the subtle cues that reveal her inner loneliness. It could be a fleeting moment of melancholy in her eyes, a deep sigh when she's alone, or the way she lingers in conversation with someone who truly listens. These signals are not weaknesses. They are invitations, opportunities to connect with her on a level most men never attempt. The key is empathy. You cannot tear away the mask, nor should you try. Instead, you meet her where she is, with patience, understanding, and a consistent presence. By acknowledging her feelings without judgment, by showing that you can provide emotional safety, you create a space where the mask can gradually lift. Over time, the loneliness she hides begins to dissipate, replaced by trust, connection, and a sense of being seen in a way that she hasn't been for a long time. Recognizing the loneliness mask is not just about insight. It's about action. It's about being the kind of man who sees beyond appearances, who understands the human need for intimacy, and who responds with authenticity and care. When you do this, you don't just connect with a woman. You touch a part of her that has been waiting for genuine understanding, creating a bond that goes far deeper than anything superficial. If there is one trait that separates men who merely date from men who truly understand women, it is awareness. Awareness is the ability to see what most men miss, the subtle signs, the unspoken words, the energy beneath the surface. And when it comes to understanding a woman who hasn't had intimacy for a long time, awareness is not just valuable, it is transformative. Think about it. Most men approach relationships superficially. They focus on what they can see, what they can touch, what can be measured by attention or attraction. But intimacy, emotional depth, and connection happen in the unseen spaces, in the moments between words, in the tension of her body, in the signals her energy sends. Awareness allows you to notice these signals, to understand the story her body and emotions are telling, and to respond in a way that no other man can. When a woman has been without true connection, her body, mind, and heart are constantly sending signals. Subtle energy shifts, emotional guarding, physical tension, a quiet craving for closeness, and even a mask of loneliness. Only a man who is aware, who observes without judgment, who truly listens and feels, can perceive these signs and respond authentically. Awareness turns observation into empathy, empathy into understanding, and understanding into deep, meaningful connection. But here's the catch: awareness is active, not passive. It's not just about noticing her smiles or her fidgeting. It's about interpreting them, connecting the dots, and acting with care. It's about recognizing that when her energy is low or when she hesitates emotionally, it's not rejection. It's a silent invitation to show patience, respect, and emotional intelligence. Awareness is about being present in ways most men are not. The power of awareness transforms not just your interactions with women. It transforms you. You become a man who sees beyond the superficial, who values emotional intelligence as much as physical attraction, who understands the delicate balance of care, attention, and patience. And when a woman senses this awareness, when she feels truly understood and seen, something rare happens. Trust is built, walls come down, and connection deepens into intimacy that is profound and lasting. Awareness is the key that unlocks understanding, empathy, and real connection. It is the difference between fleeting encounters and relationships that touch the heart. For men who choose awareness, the rewards are not just in attraction. They are in the kind of human connection that changes lives for both her and you.